morning, delegates, and welcome to the United Nations Development Program. I will now be taking roll call. Please respond with either present or present in voting. Brazil.
Present.
Cameroon.
Present.
China.
Present.
France. France? France is not present. United States of America.
Present and voting.
Sorry.
The first topic on the agenda is renewable energies. Raise your placard if you would like to be added to the speakers list. The speaking time is automatically set to 1 minute and 30 seconds. All those wishing to be added to the speakers list, please raise your placards at this time. France, Brazil, Cameroon, USA. Thank you. If anyone else would like to be added to the speakers list, please send a note up to the chair. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Seeing none, France, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Delegates, France finds the promotion of renewable energies to be an important initiative not only for developed countries, but for the developing world as well. And taking that into account, we would encourage those able to help fund the cause of renewable energies in less developed nations. France would like to specifically advocate the use of wind, solar, biomass, and geothermal energies while reducing reliance on such sources as nuclear power, coal, and natural gas. I yield my time to the Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Yes, Cameron, what point or motion do you rise?
Point of inquiry.
On inquiry?
What's the speaking time?
As I stated earlier, the speaking time is set to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Seeing none, we will proceed with the speakers list. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Fellow delegates of the UNDP, we would also like to raise the issue of funding. While implementing renewable energy programs in developing countries is a wonderful idea, we need to figure out where the funding for this would come from. Brazil would also like to point out that Brazil sees this as an urgent need for renewable energy.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Brazil, your time is now up. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Seeing none, Cameroon, you now have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Cameroon believes that this is a really important issue. The nation of Cameroon will need funding in order to give rise to renewable technologies within our borders, and we are not alone. We would like to see a lot of improvement in this area soon. We think that Brazil has set a good example by generating much of their energy through renewable resources, and the rest of the world should follow this, and other countries. Thank you. I yield to questions.
Thank you, Cameroon. Are there any points of information for the Delegate of Cameroon? Delegate of USA, you are recognized.
Cameroon, you said you would like to see a lot of improvement in this area. Could you please elaborate to be a little more specific on what you actually would like to see?
Well, Cameroon would like to see advancement of the programs we already have in place. We wish to make renewable energies reliable and efficient and cost-effective with financial aid packages. We believe that it is important that these sources of energy are accessible to all and not limited just to those with bigger budgets. Thank you.
All right, are there any other points or motions at this time? All right, China, what point or motion do you rise?
Motion for a 5-minute moderated caucus with the 30-second speaking time for the purpose of discussing renewable energy.
Delegate, that is already the topic of this committee. Would you like to be a little more specific with that motion?
Sorry, yeah. Motion for a 5-minute moderated caucus with 30-second speaking time to discuss funding and stuff for the establishment of renewable energies in different countries.
That motion is in order. Are there any seconds? Seeing multiple seconds, are there any other points or motions at this time? Seeing none, we will now vote on China's motion. All those in favor? All those against? USA, you are required to vote on all procedural matters. All those in favor? This motion clearly passes. We are now in a 5-minute moderated caucus. China, because you motioned for it, would you like to begin?
Yes, thank you. Brazil has brought up the issue of funding. We realize that there is in fact much economic stress associated with this issue.
Even in many developed countries, we would like to encourage all those capable to donate to this cause. Perhaps not all in the form of monetary support, but in materials and consolation as well. We need supplies and people who are trained to install different equipment. We need to educate the inhabitants of developing countries to operate and to fix machinery they are given. Otherwise, our goodwill is totally useless. Thank you.
Thank you, China. All those wishing to speak.
Point of order!
United States?
Cameroon just threw a paper airplane at me.
Delegate of Cameroon, please refrain from throwing such projectiles at other delegates. All those wishing to speak. France, you now have the floor for 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of the U.S. With that, this moderated caucus is now over. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Brazil.
Point of personal privilege.
On personal privilege.
I'm really cold.
Someone will adjust the thermostat. Alright, are there any other points or motions? Seeing none, we will now return to the speakers list. USA, you have the floor.
Thank you. Now that we have discussed where the supplies and funding are coming from, I think we should turn our attention to what technologies and programs each region will be implementing and how that will be determined. The United States believes that all countries should have the right to choose what kinds of renewable energies they will be using. This should be based upon factors like geography, weather, are there mountains or plains, or the country is adjacent to an ocean. Climate is also extremely relevant. A country that is mostly desert should not be using hydraulic power. Thank you.
France, what point or motion do you raise?
Motion for a 10-minute unmoderated caucus to begin writing working papers.
That motion is in order. Are there any seconds? Seeing seconds, are there any other points or motions? Seeing none, all those in favor of a 10-minute unmoderated caucus? All those against? This motion passes. We are now in a 10-minute unmoderated caucus. We will reconvene at 11:50. This unmoderated caucus is now over. Are there any points or motions at this time? China.
Motion for a 6-minute moderated caucus to discuss the working paper from China, France, and Cameroon.
That motion is in order. Are there any seconds? Seeing seconds, are there any other points or motions on the floor? United States, what point or motion do you raise?
Motion for a 5-minute moderated caucus with a 30-second speaking time to discuss the working paper from the United States and Brazil.
That motion is in order. Are there any seconds? Seeing a second, we will now vote on China's motion for a 6-minute moderated caucus to discuss their working paper. All those in favor? All those against? This motion passes. China, would you like to speak first?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair. In summary, our working paper addresses funding, what technologies will be implemented and how that will be determined, developed, and research on existing and new technologies in order to increase efficiency.
Now we have discussed both of the working papers and had an unmoderated caucus to continue work. Both resolutions are now typed up and will be read by their sponsors. United States and Brazil, will you please introduce your resolution? Now that both resolutions have been introduced, are there any points or motions at this time? Cameroon.
Motion to enter voting procedure.
The motion is in order. Are there any other points or motions on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor? This motion clearly passes. The doors have now been barred. Any entrance or exit from this room is prohibited until we exit voting procedure. We will vote on Resolution 1A and then Resolution 1B. With that, are there any points or motions on the floor? United States.
Motion to change the voting order to 1B and then 1A.
That motion is in order. All those in favor? All those against? This motion passes. We will now vote on Resolution 1B, then move to Resolution 1A. I will call on each of your countries by name. When I do so, please respond yes, no, or abstain. in accordance with your views. Brazil,
Yes.
Cameroon,
Yes.
China,
Abstain.
France,
No.
United States.
Yes.
With a vote of 3 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstain, Resolution 1B passes. You may applaud. Decorum delegates. Are there any points or motions at this time? France.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
That motion is in order. All those in favor? All those against? I'm sorry, but that motion passes.